A while back, I wanted to discuss some of the lesser talked about games on this channel that I haven't really put into the spotlight for various reasons. I'm sure when it comes to something as vast and variable as video games, we've all discovered one or two that we particularly don't like. Whether it's due to poor graphics or design, there are a few games I can name off the top of my head that I probably have idolized or at least played at some point in my life, but never again would I remotely consider touching them again after certain things. Each game I'm covering in this video will serve as nothing more than an example of what I'm not interested in moving forward with in the future. Look, I can respect if any of you guys are fans of the games I'll be talking about, but as time has gone on, I've just grown a naturally ill taste in my mouth knowing I once gave my time to these miserable piles of crap that don't really bring me any joy anymore. They kinda just come off as boring to me now. There's a lot of factors, so let's just get into it. I'm not going in a specific order either. I'm just going to be listing the games that I will probably never play again. Grand Theft Auto 5. With its outdated, boring blast from the past engine and subpar graphics and physics, Grand Theft Auto 5 was not only one of my least favorite games in the series, but one of my least favorites of all time. When it was first announced, the trailer blew me away. I was impressed with the amount of fun and destruction they showcased going into the next generation of GTA's franchise. Not to mention the idea of playing as 3 separate protagonists at once was pretty impressive, not even for its story alone, but also for its beautiful open world. But over time, lots of players like myself fell off from what GTA 5 had to offer. For an entire fucking decade, they milked the shit out of their own online portion of the game only to then sell microtransactions and offer the absolute worst missions available to make money for your character in repetitive, tedious grinds that aren't even fucking worth it. The game itself looks plain ugly. Yeah, way back when this game released on PlayStation 3, it looked fantastic, but 10 years later and the engine is clearly not up to par with other games out today. The characters look like plastic models, and the weather effects don't stand out as much as they used to. I've had my fair share of playing GTA 5, but I think it's safe to say, simply put, I'm bored of it. And a lot of people might recommend, oh Tristan, you know there's a whole online roleplay community of GTA 5 players. No fucking thanks, I'm not interested in that. Dead Island. Talk about a massive disappointment. Before we had the hugely successful Dying Light, we had the underwhelming, boring Dead Island. Stranded on a tropical island on a vacation, you play as a survivor who gets caught in the middle of a nasty plague where zombies come back to feast upon the living. I've previously talked about the trailer to the first Dead Island game because it's one of the most emotionally gripping trailers I've ever witnessed in my life. Not only did it make me cry like a little baby, but it brought some sort of empathy for the developers who worked so hard to bring it to consoles for our adolescent minds many years ago. I'd like to think this cinematic alone was worth buying the game, but you can't disguise shit with sprinkles, as they say. Dead Island, to me, is a clunky and unfair game that throws way too much at the player for them to handle, only to make it 10 times worse as they progress through the story. Zombie variations become increasingly more frustrating to fight, exploration is tedious since everything looks the same, human enemies are fucking broken just like in Dying Light, and you'll be annoyed with just how many times you'll have to run back and forth between story missions. You're always the fucking lackey in these types of games, you never get any assistance. And they released a fucking sequel to the game, which it never needed. Just goes to show that maybe you shouldn't stick with an idea when you've already canceled it twice, especially if the final product is this. But hey, at least Dead Island had a fantastic soundtrack. That piano theme makes me break into 1,000 fucking tears every time I hear it. Call of Duty. A lot of you are probably confused by this one, considering I've uploaded COD videos in the past and have posted some of my highlights from the multiplayer on other platforms, but this was years ago. COD has since taken a huge turn for the worst, and unfortunately, the entire fanbase is divided over whether COD still holds up today or if it's just a joke. If you didn't grow up eating paint chips with your free time, then you'll be happy to see that MW3 clearly wasn't a good game and was merely a marketing tool to sell $70 worth of DLC to Warzone enthusiasts. The people who defended the third game were defending Warzone. It's just Warzone. With the company sucking major cock right now in terms of making their game better for the fans, they've switched to the dark side and also started providing ridiculously unnecessary microtransactions and skins to their platform, as if Fortnite bought them out. I mean, fucking really, guys? You paid money for Nicki Minaj, who is actively and proudly married to a pedophile? She has nothing to do with military. Nothing. Not to mention, COD really feels the exact fucking same every year. I can't tell you the last time I spent money on one of them. It perplexes me that the fan base can be so divided too. You've got assholes on the internet saying, oh, you didn't like the new COD? Well, you're bad at the game, so that's obviously why. Get good, loser. My skill set has nothing to do with the blatant fact that they charged you full price for a quarter of a video game. You are the one coping. Call of Duty isn't even fucking fun to me anymore. Who wants to play a combat simulator where you chase players at the speed of light through a hallway just to get a throwing knife to your big toe and fucking die? Not me, I'll tell you that much. I grew up with COD, so I know exactly what to expect with each new installment. Nothing short of disappointment and greed. Oh yeah, and the 9-year-olds telling me that they fucked my sister. Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, it fucking sucks, man. I played the hell out of Red Dead 2 when it first released and was even one of the many people who pre-ordered it. Now, before you stab me in the fucking throat with a pitchfork, allow me to explain myself. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a fantastic, phenomenal game with an outstanding storyline and amazing set pieces throughout that make it extremely memorable. Arthur Morgan will forever be remembered in the hearts of every person who played as him because he was just a genuinely great character. Well designed, well written, well acted. End of story. He might not have been a great guy all the time, but he certainly tried his hardest in the end. So story and gameplay wise, it's not bad, but holy shit, someone said it best in a totally different video. The game is packed full of way too many micro animations. Arthur's movement is so fucking slow, having to wait for him to manually pick up every single item he sees and place it in his pocket. This stuff is cool, don't get me wrong, but there's no adjustment for speed. Everyone acts very realistically, which normally is a pro for a next-gen game, but to me this is just way too much. Characters will often go on and on and on with dialogue and different scenes. It can be a lot sometimes. The gameplay drags a lot at certain moments. I'm sure a lot of you will agree that the introduction alone is more boring than waiting for paint to dry in your intestines after you've ingested it. Please don't do that, it's a joke. I just think if the game had an update where you can begin in Valentine or even select what chapter you want to play on, it would improve how I feel about it tenfold. That, and maybe dumb down the micro animations, they're a bit much, repetitively taking me out of the immersion so many times. It sucks because, like I said, I have devoted a lot of time and effort to the sequel of Red Dead Redemption, and I still find it to be a great game, but I don't think I'll play it again. I saw it once, maybe twice. There's no need for me to visit it a third time. Dark Souls. Don't you love being better than me? Well, you're certainly gonna love this segment if you're a major fan of Dark Souls, because you're gonna want to kill me in the next 10 minutes. Dark Souls is a series that I avoided entirely during my childhood. It wasn't until I turned 15 when I obtained a copy of the third game for Xbox One. I beat the first boss on my first try with zero experience prior, and I somehow managed to proceed to another small segment of the game before I realized, yeah, this is kind of repetitive. I can understand the massive want for boss gauntlet type games. I think many games in the past have proven to be excellent when it comes to developing that formula. God of War, Dante's Inferno, just a couple of very basic examples. But Dark Souls is way different because it's way fucking hard. I don't care if you're a platinum star player who has speedran the entire game in an hour, you can't deny the actual difficulty that lies beneath the surface. The games are tough, especially for casual people who don't live their lives with duct taped eyelids, glued to their fucking screens all day. I don't get the appeal personally. Every new From Software game that gets announced or released just seems like the same fucking game reskinned. When Sekiro came out, I played it for 5 minutes before I got bored and switched to something else. It felt like I was just playing a worse version of Ghost of Tsushima, which came out years after and was a much more fantastic and phenomenal game. It's all the same parrying, the same dodging, the same formula of swing once and run away while the boss bombards you with an impossible fast, never-ending combo that kills you in 2 hits. Yeah, sounds real fun. I don't know, if you like Dark Souls or Elden Ring or whatever stupid sludge they spew out of their mouths, go ahead and play it. I'm just not a big fan of paying $70 for the same game over and over again, and I don't really plan on playing any of them, but Hey, that's why you're here, right, Dark Souls fans? To never, ever question why you're paying money for the same thing over and over again. That's why you guys are here, right? Counter-Strike 2. No thanks. To give more context, the most recent free-to-play update for CSGO completely transformed it and turned it into a brand new experience for players to delve into after years of the same formula and gambling mechanics that have plagued the fucking game since I started touching it. To give more context, the most recent free-to-play update for CSGO completely transformed it and turned it into a brand new experience for players to delve into after years of the same formula and gambling mechanics. Well, guess what? It sucks. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of why I'm never going to touch the dumpster fire that is Counter-Strike 2, but I'll simplify it with this. It is nothing more than a free update with some upgrades to performance and graphics. Nothing has changed about the core game. It still doesn't allow you to unlock or earn things unless you pay real money because it's been demonized into a fucking stock market. It's not even a game anymore. If I wanted to play with stocks, or fuck around with money, why wouldn't I just download Robinhood or something stupid like that? I'm playing Counter-Strike 2 to play Counter-Strike 2. I want to shoot the bad guys. I want to plant bombs. I want to commit crimes against humanity. I don't want to gamble for weapon skins. Is that how it works in the army? Do soldiers just go in and they get promised, hey, you can get your own weapon skin as long as you pay 20 bucks. Fuck me, I'm already putting my life on the line, but now you're giving me a weapon skin? That's some fucking cool shit right there. Guys, seriously? Once again, no thanks. Terraria. Alright. This one's a bit embarrassing. I don't necessarily think Terraria is the worst game I've played in its genre. Minecraft just so happens to be my favorite. But even today, that game has taken a fucking path to destruction with in-game microtransactions and forcing you to pay money so you can play with friends. No fucking thanks. But Terraria is way different than Minecraft. That much I do know. Playing Minecraft in single player is fun, but playing with other people is fun too. You can plan huge builds together, go on epic adventures, or collaborate to take down the game's toughest bosses. If you're willing to pay money, of course, because you can't play online with your friends in the standard Bedrock edition of Minecraft, which is the standard edition for all consoles and PC. If you want to play with friends, you'll have to get the Java edition, which is a separate version of the game. You have to pay money for both of these. They're two different versions of the same game. It's just like a monopoly that didn't need to exist. Why am I paying money to be in a fucking server? Why can't I just invite my friends or even do split screen like back in the old days? Did I fall asleep and wake up in an alternate fucked up universe? Like, what are you guys doing? Well, that's enough of that. Back to Terraria. It's a 2D platformer with building and harvesting elements, tons of exploration, and plenty of resources to discover in a dangerous yet interesting world. But, I don't understand how to play it. Embarrassingly enough, the first time I had tried Terraria, I had no fucking clue what I was doing. Then I tried it a second time, and I had no fucking clue what I was doing. Then I tried it a third time. Rinse and repeat. I would wander around for minutes on end looking for a goal, resources, something to do that wouldn't make me feel endangered, but I often felt more lost than anything. Terraria is heavily reliant on your patience and legitimate knowledge of the game, which isn't a bad thing. I just think I'm too old to enjoy it for myself personally. I can understand why a lot of people do love it, and it's actually not the first game to have this effect on me. Stardew Valley, Kat's favorite game of all time, was far too confusing and overwhelming for a caveman like myself. I can absolutely respect the dedication and mechanics that go into making these gems, but I personally don't understand them, so I feel it wouldn't be right to make a video about them. Modern Sims games. What a joke. Remember when games came out for the sake of entertainment? I sure do. I remember when I played The Sims 3 all the way back in the day, messing around with the genetics and personalities of the little creatures I spawned into the world. Today, EA has religiously stuffed the Sims franchise with their greasy, disgusting cocks, fucking and sucking the life out of what made it good. Every new expansion, every new added item or object or wardrobe addition costs real-life money because nothing can be included with the base purchase, ever. On top of that, each and every one of these expansions is a fucking joke. $20 just to have cats and dogs? Are you out of your goddamn gourd? And this isn't even retail price. When the DLC first came out, it was $40. That's the price of an actual fucking game. not an expansion. I'd rather spend $40 by giving it to a homeless man and watching him spit on it than shove it up his ass. How are consumers just totally okay with stuff like this? The Sims 4 was also a paid game at one point before switching to the free-to-play model for the sake of attention. No thanks, I'm pretty happy with not dumping my life savings into a life simulator. How ironic. Any racing games. I know this last one is a cheat, but I heard someone say a while back that if ever there were a fan community of a specific game that got shit on constantly, it's the racing game enthusiasts. I feel so fucking sorry for you guys out there who want to enjoy a simple premise. Racing. Picking a super sweet car and getting the need for speed, the itch to ditch, and grab a sports car of your choosing just to compete for first place. It's so unfortunate that there aren't many well-designed racing games today, and many of them capitalize on the whole toxicity of microtransactions and whatnot. Some games have flat-out disrespected car culture and made it a fucking monopoly all for the sake of greed. When did racing, a game idea as old as fucking time itself, becomes so convoluted and predictable, so boring, mundane, shallow? I don't drive very fast in reality, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't at one point get behind the wheel and go a little faster than normal. I know, shocking revelation, right? You better call the cops on me now, cause I'm fucking wild. In all seriousness though, I get the appeal as to why some people prefer racing over a run-and-gun generic slopfest. It's just such a shame that we don't hear anything good coming to that community anymore, at least not in recent years. Keep in mind, my opinion doesn't mean shit. Maybe you really enjoy Dark Souls for its complex and intriguing lore or its insane yet satisfying boss battles. Maybe you love Grand Theft Auto 5 and you're extremely excited to roleplay with your friends. That's okay too. In fact, I'd say majority of you are probably the winners here, so there's no need to get too upset with my opinion. I'm just a fucking idiot on the screen. Nothing more, nothing less. Anyways, what are some of your least favorite games and why won't you play them? I love creating discussions like these because it helps me to have an open mind and hear other people's perspectives. Plus, I like talking to you guys. You guys are super fun to talk with. I discover games that I've never even heard of before, and you guys have some really great takes. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully you all have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next time.
Will you see it's still just me? I'm shattered for all eternity. Will you see it's still just me? I'm shattered for all eternity.